Where did this start? That's crazy. My word, that's wild. Just to think about what this really began as and where we are and where we're going is a wild, wild journey. Um, but it's it's really cool too because the goal here is truly just to make an impact. From the beginning of Teach from DeHart, it was just to change lives. That's really our main goal. Um, it's the journey. Teach from DeHart is the journey of someone just trying to plant as many trees as possible. Lay the seeds, and change the world. When Teach from DeHart first started, I was actually a first-year teacher. As they say, wet behind the ears, green, brand new, and really excited about education. Being a third-generation educator has been a blessing in so many ways because I've watched my grandfather, my mom, and my dad. I've watched them all invest in other people my entire life and their entire career. So, starting Teach from DeHart was just a part of that. Being a first-year teacher, I noticed a need in the classroom, and that need was for students to experience something greater, right, than they had experienced and what they knew, more than what they knew in the small, town that we were in South Carolina. So Teach from DeHart came out of that need.
I believe he got this idea at the beginning of 2020 to take kids on trips, and you can imagine how that kind of played out as March 2020 came and the following months and even the following year played out. And so a lot of people, because of all the stuff that was going on, were like, you're crazy. What are you doing? Like, this is never gonna work. You can't do this. And if you've ever met Matt, if someone tells him he can't do something, he's most definitely gonna do it 10 times over with more vigor than he would have on his own.
Actually, it was my first year in a class I was teaching, and I was giving a little history lesson about downtown Greenville because my grandfather grew up in downtown Greenville. And in that moment, I made a reference to this bridge, the Liberty Bridge downtown, that is just well known. I mean, the architecture, it's beautiful. And the class, I had 28 in the class, and they were just staring at me. And so I realized very quickly they're not picking up what I'm saying. So I made another reference to downtown Greenville, and they didn't understand that either. So then I asked them, how many of you have been to downtown Greenville, South Carolina? And 3 raised their hand. And that moment still is entrenched in the back of my mind. It's just like burned in there of that was the moment Teach from DeHart was born.
Hey guys, Matt DeHart here with the Teach from DeHart Academy, and I am super stoked to talk about our new partnership with the Jet Guys. Brad Searles and his team at the Jet Guys have partnered with our academy to push forward our mission to provide revolutionary educational opportunities, not only for the students at the Teach from DeHart Academy, but also for the adults in Arnold, Pennsylvania. When you book with the Jet Guys, you help push forward our mission of creating opportunities, developing goals, and changing lives.
In my heart, I had to give everything that I could to these students, not just in school, but I knew in my heart I needed to give everything I could outside of school as well to help them and to truly give them an upper leg, an upper hand in life. I told my wife, I went home and I said I wanted to take these kids on trips. I said I just want to give them a chance to see the world. And my big thing was like, I want to take them to New York, because I lived in New York. I worked in New York for a little while in college. It was a great experience for me. It changed my life. And that's really where it all kind of stemmed from, was that moment of seeing these kids who did not know much past the small town we were in.
I am the type, this is why we married each other, I'm the type of person that thinks more 5 steps ahead, where Matt thinks of the end goal and he doesn't think of the 5 steps to get there, which is why he's the dreamer, passionate one. So I had a lot of questions. I'm always a little more hesitant than he is. But he was able to figure it out. He talked to his dad a lot because his dad had a nonprofit. He talked with other trusted colleagues, friends, just about starting a nonprofit. And it really came out of COVID-19 and these kids not being able to go to school full time at the beginning of the year, and then not having the opportunity to go on field trips whatsoever.
We were sitting there, and it was me and my wife and my parents, and I said, I really want to start a foundation, and I can't think of what to call it. And my Instagram for my teaching is Teach from DeHart. So it's a play off my last name. I said, I think I'm going to call it the Teach from DeHart Foundation, or Teach from DeHart Foundation, depending on how you want to pronounce my last name. And it just kind of resonated. You know, the whole table kind of sat there and was like, it's a pretty cool name. Yeah, I should do it. But I had no idea how to open a foundation. I had no idea how to start a nonprofit. Yep, folks, you heard me right. I didn't know where I was really going to go because I had no idea how to start a nonprofit or what it even looked like. I think we've heard this before. Roll the tape back.
I'm the type of person that thinks more 5 steps ahead, where Matt thinks of the end goal and he doesn't think of the 5 steps to get there.
If there's anything I've learned in this process, it's that, well, your wife is always right. Let's continue with the story. And so I started really diving into what does it look like, and I realized you gotta have a board. So you gotta have a board that you answer to, and that you provide the answers for things to. So I started recruiting a board, and the first person that I recruited was Josh Frederick.
I'm Josh Frederick, and I'm a graphic designer. I specialize in designing book covers and book interiors, and I'm the treasurer as well as the brand and logo designer for the Teach from DeHart Foundation and Academy. I've worked in education a lot throughout my career, and so this was a very natural extension and part of what I want to do with my work, and what making an impact with nonprofits and especially with education and with kids. Josh
and I went to church together. We were in a men's group, that Bible study that he was leading, and I kind of threw out the idea. I'll never forget. I threw it out because I was in my head thinking I wanted Josh, because Josh was very missionally aligned with what we wanted to do, to create opportunities, to develop goals, and to change lives.
He was telling me about working with his students and what he wanted to do with his students, and to give them opportunities to take them on these trips, take them to, he had talked about taking them to either like Atlanta or New York or another big city, as well as just giving them a lot of experiences in life throughout Greenville, just opening up doors and opportunities for them. And when he was telling me that, it really just kind of lit a fire in me that this is something that's amazing, that this would be something that would be awesome to be a part of.
And so Josh was our first board member. So we met for lunch, we discussed what this would be, and I literally told him, I said, all this is ever gonna be is taking kids in my 5th grade classroom on trips across the United States. That's it, nothing more. So I might have lied a little bit, just a tad. Actually, I mean, I didn't intentionally lie, but it ended up has become a lot more, right? And so recruited a board, submitted the paperwork to the state, and the next thing I know, the Teach from DeHart Foundation is beginning. And I don't even know what it means. I just know that I have an idea and I have our mission, our mission and our goals written out. And it really comes under those 3 pillars of creating opportunities, which is the travel, developing goals, helping them see because of these opportunities, look at the things you can do. Why don't you create goals for yourself, right? Help them create goals, and then to change lives. So these students, we want their lives to be changed, to be impacted forever, so that after they leave us, they can always come back to that moment when they got to see the world. We at the Teach from DeHart Academy are so excited about our partnership with ClearTouch Interactive. From the fun displays to the opportunities for games and teachers getting a chance to turn it over to students. Students can come up and teach just like Mr. DeHart using the ClearTouch Interactive opportunities. I can also present from my board over to their Chromebooks so they are able to follow along and keep track. You can have students duel it out with 20 points of touch throughout the ClearTouch board, as well as solve problems and grow as an academic. We are so excited to be partnering with ClearTouch at Teach from DeHart.
The first conversation that I had with Matt about designing the logo was outside of a Starbucks. It was in the middle of COVID, so we couldn't go inside. But we were sitting outside and we had a conversation about his vision for the company, what he wanted the brand style to be, the colors, and we kind of talked about like these high level like visions and mission for the foundation. And after that conversation, it was pretty much like one of the simplest logos I've ever designed. Like it came to me and I knew immediately what it needed to be when Matt DeHart was telling me about his students and how they would wear ties on Wednesdays, and that was something that he was really promoting. That became, as he was like telling me the story about how the foundation came about, the ties came up a lot and it came up quite frequently, and to the kids it was that the symbol of kind of what they were learning and what they sort of wanting, what they were getting out of Matt's teachings, and so I knew that had to be a part of it. And then the actual logo type, I knew that because not just it has his name in the title, but Matt pours so much of himself into the foundation. I kind of took a little bit from the Disney playbook and how much Walt Disney puts into his company, into his art and stuff like that. And I wanted to reflect that within the logo itself. And so the DeHart is his signature, a stylized signature of his, and then paired with a very modern sans serif to kind of bring it into the modern world.
I actually was in a meeting with the lieutenant governor at it was a group of people coming together to talk about education in the state of South Carolina, and I had been invited. And so I was there and actually just got done talking to her about what we were doing in our goal. And I got the email that we were officially like ready to go with the state. And that was when the Teach from DeHart Foundation became official. That weekend was the first foundation trip. It was a Saturday. I had no money, mind you, and my mom gave me $100 to take these 2 students, Jackson and Brooks, were the first 2 students. We went putt-putting for free. I had to borrow putt-putt clubs from his family. We went putt-putting downtown. It started to rain. And then after we went putt-putting, I took them and showed them a little bit of downtown. Then I showed them where I went to college, and then we went to eat. And what these trips became, Mr. DeHart takes you a place and you go and experience something. So like rock climbing or zip lining or a basketball game, hockey game, something along those lines. Then you would go eat. And when you ate, you learned how to order properly, how to set the table, how to behave in a restaurant, how to sit, and how to tip, right? And so that's where it developed itself. And that was it. That was the beginning. That was the first step of what is now the Teach from DeHart Academy.